Hello, my name is Yely. My English learning process was very special to me because it was self-taught and it began when I was a kid. If I hark back, it comes to mind the time when my sister Ligia came home with two cassettes. The first one with the elves and the shoemaker story, the second one with Hansel and Gretel's story. I remember picking Hansel and Gretel's story and putting to cassette player and start listening to it. And what a big surprise when I heard this lady, the storyteller, speaking in a way that I could not understand. So I asked my sister what was, and she said that's English. Immediately she looked for some English books and showed me. I remember this one with little pictures in each page um, and label at the end of each of those with the name like pear, apple, pineapple, watermelon, grapes, or cat, dog, um, horse, lion, and so many others. As the time passed by, I became interested on English, and because MTV was a boom, I became a huge fan of Westlife's music. Therefore, for my birthday 15 years ago, yesterday, my sister Ligia and Judalia gave me as a birthday present Westlife's second album, Coast to Coast. And since then, I became a huge fan of buying albums because they brought the booklet in it, and I could read the lyrics and listen to it at the same time. So I became aware of it, and it's what I say. It's what I call codifying word with sounds. When I had the opportunity to get a bilingual dictionary, I started translating those songs from the albums from English to Spanish and vice versa. So I might say most of my vocabulary comes from the time where I spend a lot of time doing so. So yeah, I think it's pretty much that. And even though the songs didn't have a lot of sense, for me, uh, that helped me to keep practicing, and I think at the end I could understand English structure because of it. In my school, we didn't learn as much as we think we will, but it wasn't little either. My first teacher, Mr. Carrillo, used to write 1,000 of dialogues on all over the year, from which we would take questions and answers to it. But I never understood the do and does auxiliary form until my teacher, until high school. My high school hired el teacher Jesus Ramon, that's the way we used to call, and he explained to me why to use the do auxiliary form and when to add an es at the end of each verb when speaking a third person. Um, Before graduating from school, I decided to go to United States. So I talked to my parents, and as my siblings were okay with it, I was sent to America, where I lived with a native English-speaking family, the clients who adopted me for a year. There, I went to Elko High School, where I took pottery, algebra, American history, physics. But I guess the subject or the class that was a frustration for me was English college preparatory, because we had to study um, literature from the Anglo-Saxon um, time to the Victorian one. So Beowulf poem made me cry as much as my physics teacher did, because he used to make jokes around my name. jelly, which sound pretty much like jelly, the meal you put with the peanut butter on your bread. And I got very offended when he asked me to point out my country, Venezuela, in the earth glove for the class. And I think it wasn't because of him. I think it was because the student wouldn't know where Venezuela was located geographically. um, in America, my process because I remember when before going to America, I was in a English course at the Iowa Institute, and my Mabel, my teacher, I asked her if it to teach children was harder to do. She asked me that it wasn't. It was easier because children, if you correct children, they do not complain, and they don't care at all. They just don't complain, and they take it easily, and they correct things right away. But adults, we don't like it that much because we don't want to screw it up. So I decided to become a child was going to United States. And I remember one time my daddy, Charlie Klein, asked me to pass him the napkin, and I didn't know what it was. When my sister Clarissa passed it to him, I could right away codify the image with the word, oh, okay, that's a napkin. Um, when I was my second semester in the United States, I remember switching to the productions for French class, and being in that, my teacher, I was feeling sick because I had a period, and my teacher, Mrs. Martin, asked me why I was acting like that, what was happening to me, that I was looking not so good. So I told her I had this thing that I could not remember the word, but it was like crab, but like crab was pube, so it wasn't pube. So thinking a little bit, she said, "Oh, crumbs." And yes, crumbs, and every single boy in the class say you and hide their head on the table. So it was funny because since that I don't forget crumbs, but at the same time I learned you don't talk about menstruation in front of guys, at least in American. A girl doesn't. So that's a cultural impact, I might say. Um, and well, I think being unafraid and shameless by speaking English helped me a lot in being submerged in this world. By going to United States helped me to understand their behavior and how and why they are what they are. And as John Paul says, he kind of connect with his cultural heritage because he doesn't speak Spanish, neither French. So that's probably why the difference between us. For me, it's very interesting his case because I feel like he didn't have this inner strength to neither his parents guy to immerse in this multiculturalism that he had in his household. So I guess it was that he didn't want to get out of his comfortability, his as some others, and I did. So yeah, pretty much that's what I think, and that's my learning process. Thank you very much for listening.